Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be looking at another coaching video. This is patch 8.18, a Janna video, so special thanks to Elliot for the generous donation. Now, this is a different file format than we usually have. Usually when people send me replays, they send me the .raffle file.
30 seconds.
I guess Elliot was having a bit of trouble figuring out how to send me that .raffle file, so he sent me whatever this file type is, I forgot. It's basically a recording of him watching the replay. So I'm not going to have as much control over the recording, so it'll be a little different. So the big thing here is I'm not going to be able to press tab, so I can't look at item power spikes and sort of advise you on how you should proceed. I'll just have to see if you press tab.
Minions have spawned.
And I won't, it looks like you did not turn off the red, the vision for red side, so we can see where they are, so we'll just have to pretend like we can when we're thinking about vision and where they could be in terms of ganking. So those are just a couple of things to consider. But overall, you should still, we'll have a lot of stuff to say, to learn. Obviously, I think the flash was probably a mistake earlier, so there's not much to say about that. You don't want to just use your flash. Yeah, you definitely don't want to keep walking through bushes like this. It's like there's nothing you're going to gain out of that other than figuring out that Rammus is in the bush, you know? And you already kind of know that. Now, Elliot said he was very new to the game, so people in the comments try to take it easy on him. I think he said he just started playing, like, within the last couple of weeks or something, so it's going to be really rough. This is probably either unranked or really low in bronze. I don't know for sure, but we're just going to help him out as much as we can. Okay, so don't get too close. There are too many minions here. These things hurt a lot. It seems like they don't, because they're just like these little critters, but they really hurt quite a lot early in the game. Each one of them will do, it depends, but, you know, at least 10 damage a hit, oftentimes. So, that's one mistake that a lot of people will make. If you auto-attack or cast a spell in this misfortune right now, then all those minions will start hitting you, and so, you have to be very careful about that. For no one else that would like a coaching session, by the way, as sort of a segue as we move in before I forget to mention it, you can just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. It's just $20 for off-stream, $25 on-stream, just because it takes up a bit of airtime, which is great. That's fine, but just for the airtime, an extra $5. Yeah, you want to stay over here and try to help protect her. Yeah, she seems like she's lagging or something, but you know, try to protect her as much as you can. If you become a PayPal member, which there will be a link in the description on how to do that if you're interested. It's kind of like supporting someone on Patreon. I just do it through PayPal instead because they give you a larger cut. So less of that goes to fees and things like that. But you can get $5 off of coaching or guides. So it only make it easy. You can join our Discord community and come play during viewers' nights as well if you'd like to every Sunday. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn keeps dying, so there's not a lot to be done here other than just trying to farm under tower. I'll talk about your runes here real quickly. I would not recommend going Grasp. It does give you some health, but like Janna scales very, very well with Airy, because you should be getting a lot of plus healing and shielding. And you have two different ways to trigger it, right? All of your W and your ult. So Airy is usually the go-to rune with her. It also gives you like decent harassment early on, even though they've nerfed that substantially since earlier in the season. Yeah, so try to see if you can get, whenever Rammus comes up like that, see if you can get a couple of auto attacks on him. You want to hold on to that tornado. You don't really want to use that for harassment. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's highly likely they're going to dodge it, and it costs quite a bit of mana. You also need to hold on to that in case Rammus tries to come at you, because if Rammus is really, you know, focusing on you, paying attention, and he sees you use that, he's going to know you're not going to have any defense against ball curl. But right there, you could tornado him maybe. Yeah, he's running. Yeah, you don't want him to touch you like that. He's running, he's running. leveling up
Shut
here.
down.
This matchup, I'd probably get 3 points in W in the laning phase, so like, by level 5, you should have 3 points in W, and then after that, max out your shield and E. This will give you some pretty good harass early on if you just walk up and then just auto attack them and then press W. That'll give you some pretty decent harass. And then, you want your shield maxed out by level 10 though, because that's your real powerhouse ability in the mid-game. Even though Caitlyn's having kind of a hard time this game, that shield will be very nice against like Warwick or the Misfortune top lane. So, I just noticed nobody has Smite it. Well, the Mundo has Smite, but no one on your team has Smite. So I assume this might even be a game that is pre-level 30 based on the looks of some of these summoners. Maybe even pre-15. I don't remember when people start getting Smite. So I don't know if there's a limitation to the runes or not. Maybe you can't get Air yet. I'm not sure. Like this early in the stage. Okay. So I'm not quite sure what you're buying here because I can't see sort of the tab. Looks like you may have gotten boots. You're moving a little bit faster there. Yeah, you've got the 393 move speed, so it looks like you may have bought tier 2 boots, or at least probably brown boots, tier 1. Tier W gives you a little bit extra. I'm just trying to guess what you bought here, because that's the thing, is I don't know, I'm halfway tempted just to ask you to send me the dot raffle just so I can tab and things like that, but like I said, I think we can still get enough good, like, fundamental stuff here to help you out, even if we don't know the exact items or situation with the tornado that. So that's where you want a tornado, because that'll knock him out of that spot. Right, there you go. Good job. Now Misfortune's almost out of mana there, so she's not gonna have much to cast her spells. So you guys could get aggressive here. Yeah, I would position up and just go up and like auto attack and W her. Like, anytime you kill one person in the lane, you can go up and usually bully the other person. So they shouldn't be allowed to hit any of these creeps here if there's only one person in the lane. Then you have two. You don't want it... Yeah, okay. If you're gonna push this, you need to like push it all the way in. You need to have a strategy with the wave. Like, this is what people call a wave. It's the minions that come up here. You need to have a specific purpose where you want that wave to be. I have a whole video on the channel called Wave Control, and that's part of my macro video if you haven't watched that yet, like how better macro, which is like thinking about like not just hitting skill shots and sort of what you're doing on a small level, but kind of the bigger strategic elements being what you should be doing. I talk about wave management, and you kind of have to decide if you want to put the wave against their tower and be aggressive, or if you want to put it in a defensive spot. Because a lot of that determines how the lane's going to go. If you can figure out what the optimal strategy is for your situation, where you want that wave to be, and then, you know, control that strategy better than the enemy. So, for example, if their jungler's camping you and you're losing really hard, you might want the wave to be right here, for example. So that way they can't, it'll be a lot harder for them to attack you because you're going to have your tower for defense. Versus if you're pretty far ahead and you want to try to take down their tower as fast as possible, obviously you would want to push it up to be into their tower so it's doing damage. But you wouldn't want to do that if their jungler is going to come down here and attack you, right? Or if they're really far ahead and they can fight you and kill you. I can't really see the items. I don't know the scores offhand. I feel like you guys are winning a little bit. Mundo hasn't come down here yet, so I do think that, you know, maybe managing the wave, like pushing forward would be helpful. You really don't want to use your ult like that if you can help it, because that has a very, like, good pushback component to it. Shield is in case you're out of mana. That's a very strong kind of pushback mechanic, which is very good against Rammus and Mundo. So you really don't want to use that ult unless you're in trouble a lot of times. And kind of as a quick tip too, whenever she channels her ult like that, whenever she starts laughing and shooting all that stuff, you can knock her out of that. You can stop her from doing that if you're close enough and you press your ult. That's one, you know, extra mechanic that your ult can do. And then also you can throw your tornado at him, and that tornado will knock her up briefly, which will stop that also. So you want to be working towards some kind of mana regeneration item here. It seems like you're running out of mana, like maybe you didn't have fairy charms there. Once again, I can't see the items in the replay, and I can't see like how much mana per 5 you're getting. I'm just trying to, you know, estimate it.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
And you need to try to get out of the base really quickly. You don't ever want to be sitting in the base for longer than 3 to 5 seconds, unless there's a really, really good item that you're going to finish. Looks like you also started Frostfang, and I would recommend getting Coin, especially when you're newer to the game, just because it's going to reliably give you more gold over time, and it's going to allow you to get your wards a lot faster. So in this situation, I would probably work towards probably a Redemption Rush. That'll give you plenty of mana regen. Now Redemption is a little bit harder to use. You have to get used to it. You know, you have to aim it, use it at the right time. So if you're not comfortable like figuring out Redemption yet, item actives, if you're still trying to work on, you know, using your 4 normal spells correctly, which is perfectly fine, you know, trying to learn the game, then maybe get Ardent Censer instead. Ardent Censer is also potentially very strong. The only reason I'm saying not to necessarily get Ardent Censer right away is just because it seems like this Caitlyn might be lagging or, you know, something like that, and you don't have a lot of auto-attacking champions. Ardent Censer is really good with those types of champions. So I think that Redemption is probably the best, but Ardent Censer is pretty good too. A more passive item. But those would be the only 2 items I would start with here. Mikhail's is okay too, but that's kind of the same thing as Redemption. Like, you have to feel comfortable using it at the right time, and I think that Redemption's just better. Mikhail's later to help you out against that Rammus taunt. I think you could get a bit more aggressive here, you know, just trying to land some autos, especially against this Rammus if he steps up. So Master Yi's really strong right now. So you need to kind of be like taking some mental notes if you can about like who's really strong. So you should definitely be pressing tab a lot more. Anytime anybody dies on the map, you need to press tab at a minimum. So that way you can see, you can always be sort of paying attention to who's strong. And I talk about this in several videos as well, like my macro video. You always want to know like who's strong on your team, who's strong on the enemy team, and then you want to try to play around the people that are strong on your team and avoid the people that are strong on the enemy team. I know that sounds obvious, but there are a lot of people that really don't ever calculate that. Like, they just keep up with what they're doing, but they don't pay attention to how strong certain enemies are or how strong certain allies are. And they'll say things like, wow, I didn't know that assassin would kill me, you know, instantly. It's like, well, if you press tab, you would see they had 8 kills and 2 completed items. So, yeah, they're going to kill you instantly. So, you know, you don't want to end up shocked or caught off guard by certain enemies. And you don't want to count on certain allies being really strong, and you're like, wow, I thought this person was going to be strong, and then you press tab, and you're like, oh, they're 0-5. So they just don't have items. So it's always good to keep track of that, especially the people in your list, so to know which items Fortune has right now is really important. But also everyone on the map. So if you're not really caught off guard. It could also affect which types of items you need to buy, right? So if that Master Yi gets extremely fed,
shut down.
You know, you might want to get something like a locket at some point, so you can give a bigger shield to your allies to help them out. They don't get blown up immediately. So it can influence, you know, the types of items, and if you play like a tankier champion, it can influence which types of resistances you should get. So if a physical damage dealer is really strong, you might need to get armor. If a magic damage dealer is really strong, you might need to get magic skills. So keeping track of items and who's strong and what that means in terms of the overall sort of trajectory of the game is important to keep in mind. Now, something you can do also, and I'm not sure, like, maybe you're flipping through the different tabs to go find items while you're doing this. It's difficult to say, but you can actually make an item set if you go into, I think it's in collections, look up item sets, and you can make an item set where you can put the items that you're going to most likely buy all on one tab, and then you can say which champions will have access to that item set. And so you could make one for a lot of enchanters, like you could have a Janna, Sona, Nami item set or something, and maybe you have Redemption on there, and Mikhail's, and maybe Athene's Unholy Grail. Like, you have a bunch of items that are very common you would buy. You put that on there, and then you don't have to flip through all those tabs. You don't have to rely on what's recommended by Riot, which sometimes is good, sometimes it's not. Because they don't update that every patch. Sometimes the itemization that's optimal on a champion can change from patch to patch. So that'll save you a lot of time in the shop flipping through and trying to find out which item you want. You could go fight her right now. She has no mana. You have 4 points in your W. You're full health. I think you can definitely fight her. Yeah, put the W on her. Just run her down. Well, especially if you're going to commit to the Ignite, you definitely want to put the W on her. Because that'll slow her down. Just W and then just right-click. And I can't tell, but if you don't do quick cast, it used to be called smart cast. I'm not sure what the terminology is for it now. But the thing where you just hover your mouse over something and press the button, and it instantly happens, so you don't have to press it and then press it again to target stuff. You want to be doing that on all of your spells and get used to that, because it makes it a lot faster. To push a little bit here.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Okay, good. Yeah, you should be harassing with that W a lot more in the lane, especially kind of at this against other kind of like novice players. They'll let you get a lot of free hits on them with like W, like just random hits. Use your tornadoes, spin him away. That now, there you go. I was about to just say, now's a good time to hold. That would shut her up so she stops doing that, and it would heal you a lot. Yeah, you probably need to go heal here. looks like you have 90 ability power, so I'm not sure what you're buying. That seems like a lot, though. You buying like a death cap or something? You got a needlessly large rod? And instead of getting this thing here, this like magic barrier or whatever, you really want to get mana flow band in the sorcery tree. Like, it gives you a lot of extra mana as it goes on. Yeah, you have 130 AP now, so I'm not sure what that is. Unless you have multiple items. I guess if you have something like Ardent Censer and Athene's Unholy Grail. Then maybe that's what I have no idea which items you have right now. Go ahead and ult. Grab it, shield, ult. Got it, right? Okay, nice. No. Ult. Did you get a gold item? Yeah. Oh yeah, you did. You had the crossbow. Oh yeah, you have Watcher, so I guess in theory you could have, what, Ardent plus Watchers, that'd be 35, 95. And then you'd have an extra 45 or something. Maybe another amp tone. Okay, I guess, yeah. I guess that would make sense if you have, like, Watchers, Ardent. Yeah, it looks like you have Ardent, because your hands are glowing here, so that's good. Okay, so Ardent plus maybe amp tone. I feel like y'all are dominating this lane too. Like, you really need to be able to push your advantage. Like, y'all have barely scratched that enemy tower, and you have, I don't know how many kills between you, but it feels like you have at least 4 or 5, right? So, yeah, there you go, get him. Tornado completely knocks him out of that. That's definitely where you want to tornado him, when he starts rolling at you like that. You can use the W to slow him down, but he seems really squishy too. Nice, great. I don't think he did it on purpose, because that's not warded, but it ended up very well. I mean, yeah, once she's out of stuff, you should be able to come up with it, but watch out for this minion. Yeah, his minions do a lot of damage. And so you gotta wait until you clear up those minions. Also, Caitlyn just was not over there with you. Why does she have that movement speed? She's got Raptor Cloak. Let me speed to this a little bit more. Back up a little bit more just because nobody's down here. I mean, ideally, like, you just want to go where the rest of your team is as a support most of the time. Like, you don't want to be down here farming by yourself. Just let them push that in. Go rotate middle. You really don't need to flash there. Yeah, flash is very, very important. Like, you really want to hold on to that flash unless you have to use it, right? Because if you don't have it, there are a lot of situations where you're just going to die. So yeah, I would try to, like, ping and tell your allies to come down here and farm this, and then that would allow you to go do something else. So you really want to get wards. I can't really move around on the map here, but like, you need to get wards in your jungle. I have a whole video on warding if you want to watch that as well on the channel. But you need to have wards, like, especially if they're pushing into your jungle. Like, you need to have them at your entrances so you can see if people are. And then if you were winning, if you were pushing into them, you would want, you know, wards in their jungle. So like, vision is very, very important. And that's one of the, like, biggest ways you can make an influence as support, is to get really good vision, so that you can make good decisions. And you need to communicate those good decisions to your team. So like, a really good support, a lot of it is about communication, because you don't have to last hit minions most of the time, and so that frees up a little bit of extra, you know, mental power that other people won't have, mostly, except for the jungler. They don't really have to last hit minions to get used to it. So that allows you to watch the minimap more, so that you can, you know, ping and help your allies understand what's going on when they might be spending most of their mental power trying to, you know, last hit or do other stuff. So you need to be kind of their eyes and ears. And in order to do that efficiently, you need to have vision.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, be a little careful just because we don't know. In theory, Misfortune could be here a bit faster. Like, we can see on the map that she's not, but like, you're just not gonna kill him, you know? He's gonna get away.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, it's gonna be really tough at this point to try to come back here, but it's tough to say, once again, without being able to look at the items,
Dominating.
sort of who you should be playing around or what you should be doing. I do know that, you know, you should have more vision up. You need to be buying control wards. You need to be using your warding item. And I can tell you did get Ardent Sensor, and that's good. But I don't like know who's like doing really well on the team. So, for example, if Misfortune was actually doing really well, maybe getting something like a Mikhail's would help, because then you could cleanse off like the Rammus stun. If Master Yi was really fed, or maybe you want to get a lot of too, so you have a little bit of armor, and that would allow, like, he's doing really well because he's godlike, right? And that would combo well with the. Or, for example, if like Warwick was doing really well, you would try to play around with Warwick. You would try to keep him alive. You know, he would be your top priority. He's your really strong person. So maybe if you had a choice between let Warwick die or let Caitlyn die, if Warwick's like 9-0 and Caitlyn's 0-9, you would want to protect the Warwick. That's why it's really important to sort of get an assessment of who's strong. Or if you're playing like a damaging champ, you know, if you were playing like a Zyra or a Pyke or, you know, something like that, you would want to try to see on their team, okay, who is really strong and can I kill that person if possible. We got about 1 more minute left here. Yeah, the thing, like, at most elo brackets, but especially as you're kind of learning the game, sort of a newer player, you'll find that champions that snowball really hard, that do, which is a term that performs very well if they have a lot of gold, like Master Yi, are very difficult to deal with. Because people just don't know how to play around him. They don't get enough crowd control for him. There's not organizing. Once he gets really strong, it's very difficult. So as Janna, you kind of want to just hang out there a lot of times outside the lane phase. Shield people. Janna's really like a healer. She tries to keep people off of other people. Okay, so biggest thing that I think you can work on is work on the runes and items first. Okay, so runes for Janna, you need to be getting Airy, Mana Flow Band. I think Absolute Focus is the best one after that. And then probably Gathering Storm. You know, there might be some matchups where you could still get Scorch if you think that you're really going to be able to dominate the lane. But that, I would probably just go for Gathering Storm and play for later in the game. Gathering Storm really starts becoming valuable at about 20 minutes. But it's very valuable at like 30 minutes and beyond. So it's really for longer games. Water Walking is another one that's like okay if you think you're going to rotate a lot. But yeah, I would definitely do something with Airy, because Airy is kind of still your core item as Janna. And then I would go Resolve Secondary, and I would get probably either Bone Plating or Chrysalis. Bone Plating will give you some sort of protection. You can get both of those if you're against like a difficult all-in team. So if you're against like a Leona or an Alistar or something that can, you know, just go in and kill you pretty quickly, then you want Bone Plating and Chrysalis. But if you're facing a team that's a champion that's not going to be as aggressive in the bottom lane, then you can get Revitalize, which is really strong on Janna. So, you know, I think going something like Bone Plating and then Revitalize could potentially be a really good option. So that's what I would do for runes. And then for items, Ardent Sensor's good. I'm pretty sure you got Ardent there. Redemption's also very good if you can practice using that, particularly if you take Revitalize, which hopefully you can in a lot of games, then Redemption's very strong. And then Locket is also really good. So like Redemption and Locket is sort of the bread and butter of the last 2 years. They've nerfed those items a lot over time, but they're still really good. And that gives you great team fight superiority, because you can just drop the Redemption down while it's taking that 2.5 seconds to arrive. You can press Locket, shields everybody, keeps them up, Redemption hits, it's a ton of healing, and you just win the game off of that. It's very, very strong if you use it correctly. It also has 5,500 range. That means you can fire it almost from bot lane to the mid lane, and so that's going to allow you to influence fights in the mid lane. Potentially, and once you get really good at it and paying attention to the map and stuff like that, that's a bit more advanced, but that is something that is possible with Redemption. So I think those two are good. Mikhail's is another one that can be really strong. You have to practice like knowing when to use it, but it basically cleanses off a crowd control off of somebody else, so it's very good at cleansing off like a Rammus stun or like a Thresh hook or something like that, right? But it's not going to have much value if you don't press it like pretty quickly after they get crowd controlled, right? So you want to make sure that, you know, you get some practice in with that. But that's a very strong combination with Redemption, because the 15% plus healing and shielding on that gets amplified, gets tripled on Redemption. So it gets triple value out of plus healing and shielding. So those two in combination are historically very, very strong on Janna. Redemption plus Mikhail's. Athene's Unholy Grail is okay on Janna. I get it a lot on Nami and Lulu and Sona, but Janna is not like as aggressive early. But if you feel like you can be aggressive, if you're against something like a Rammus early on where you can bully him out, then maybe you could go Athene's. But those are just kind of fundamental things that I would definitely work on, because that's something that has nothing to do with like how you're actually playing in the game. It's just getting like strong items and getting strong runes, and that'll help out a ton. As far as the gameplay itself, I think, you know, in general, try to practice being more aggressive early, like figuring out when you can be aggressive and when you can't. And whenever you can, take advantage of that. So when you're against someone like a Rammus who really can't get on you that easily if you stay at max range and you're near minions, because his little roll gets interrupted by minions, you should be able to walk up, and your trading pattern a lot of times should be hit him with a W, auto attack him, and then retreat most of the time. Remember your W has, I think, like 650 range. It might be 550 from like your hitbox, outer circle, whatever. It ends up being about 650. So that's further than most auto attacks. You should be able to just walk up every time your W's up. Just W and then walk away. And if you can sneak in an auto attack, that's great. I was talking about this in another video as well. Like, if you think about it, if you only do this once every minion wave, which comes every 30 seconds, you just walk up, W, auto attack, you know, you're probably going to deal about 100 damage at least, right? If it's W plus auto. And, you know, even if you only dealt 50 damage, right? Even if it was only 50, every minute that would be 100 damage to them. And you think of how much damage these champions have, how much health they have early, it's not much on a squishy champion like Misfortune. So, you know, after 4 minutes of that, that would be 400 damage. So anytime you look at them, you know, 4 minutes in, just think, wow, what would happen if they had 400 less health right now? You could be a lot more aggressive, right? You could maybe even kill them. So these little things add up over time. It doesn't seem like a lot, getting in like an auto attack here or there, or just like throwing a W, but it adds up a lot. So, you know, you want to try to go up and trade as much as you can. Now, you need to be careful when there's a lot of minions in the way, like when there's a lot of minions sitting around, because whenever you target someone with your W, then those minions are going to turn on you, so they're going to hit you back. So you want to ideally try to make these trades whenever there aren't many minions around. When there's only maybe like 3 or so around, you can go for more trading. But if there's like 15 of them stacked up or something like that, you don't want to trade into that, because they're just going to do more damage to you than you'll do to that champion a lot of the time. So that's something to try to take advantage of early on. Make sure you're warding. I don't think I saw you use any wards. So that gold item that you got early on, you want to make sure you're upgrading that to tier 2. And then as soon as you get 500 gold on it, you'll have the ability to drop wards. I don't have enough time right now to go over like everywhere, and I can't really do it because I can't interact with this map here because it's not in the replay system. But go watch my vision video, vision domination video. It's also, I have some of that in my macro video as well that I keep referencing. I think the macro video will be very helpful for you. But you should be warding and, you know, trying to gain information so that you can make good decisions and relay that to your team. So make sure you're dropping wards. At a bare minimum, just always make sure you have 3 wards on the map, and then buy a lot of control wards and use those as well. So as long as you know, a good place to start is just think, I always want 3 wards on the map, and I want a control ward on the map. So a total of 4 wards. And then you can work on like optimal placement, but just start with, you know, that goal of I'm always going to have 3 wards somewhere on the map. And then go from there. And then as far as like team fights and positioning, I think just you always want to be kind of hanging out near the back with Janna and trying to peel people away. So your job is just like, think of yourself as sort of the offensive line, right? You just want to keep people off the quarterback, right? You just want to use your tornado, use your ultimate, use your slow. You don't want to be up front trying to, you know, score the touchdowns, right? That's not really your job. You're not going up there trying to kill their dangerous person, you know, that's on their back line. Your job is just to protect your back line, your squishy mages, your 80 carries from their assassins and sort of tanks that are trying to dive, that are trying to get to your back line. So your job is just to protect, typically, because you're too squishy to go up there and you just don't do enough damage most of the time to try to go up there and kill their backline in a team fight. So I think that's the way to think of her conceptually, is my job is just to peel and protect. And I think that's about it as far as, I think that's a good place to start. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information, but just try to work on getting those runes, getting those items that we mentioned. So that's 1. Number 2, try to be as aggressive as you can in the lane safely. So whenever you can add a W in there, an auto attack, go ahead and do that. But just try to figure out when it's safe, when it's not safe, and see what you can do there. 3, just get vision on the map. Just 3 wards, 3 standard wards plus a control ward at all times. As soon as you get that gold item to 500 gold, right? And I recommend doing coin once again, because you'll get the gold there faster. And then finally, 4, in team fights, I want you to just stay near the back and just try to protect whoever's really strong on your team, right? So, and that's kind of number 5 I'll add on there, is press tab a lot, like I was talking about during this video, and see who's strong. And you kind of just have to get used to this and sort of figure it out through experience. I talk about this in the macro video as well, but just looking at the items and interpreting that and seeing who's strong. Generally, if they have more items than you, just think they're stronger than you. So, for example, if your Caitlyn only has a BF sword and their AD carry has a Storm Razor, you should be able to look at that and say, oh man, they're way stronger than me because they have a completed item, or they're way stronger than my AD carry because they have a completed item and we don't. So therefore, we should be very careful when we approach them. We shouldn't fight them, probably, unless the jungler is there to help us. So, and then with that information, once you press tab, in team fights, you want to protect the person that's most valuable on your team. So if someone has a lot of gold, if someone has a lot of kills and items, protect them and let the other people, if you have to, let the other people die that don't have as many resources, right? So, you know, sometimes your AD carry is going to be 0-7, and maybe your mid laner is 7-0. You need to switch gears, maybe forget about the AD carry as much, and focus on protecting that mid laner. Okay, but that's going to be it. Thank you very much. Hopefully that gives you 5 really quick tools to help you figure out how to improve. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks again for the donation. Anyone else who would like a coaching session, don't forget you can email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. We'll set that up. Like I said, this was a little different because usually I use the .raffle file. You can see what that would look like in this playlist. I'll have a playlist of coaching sessions as well. I think this is going to be like 129, maybe 130. I can't remember the exact number. But anyways, you can see what it would look like with the .raffle, where I can move around the map a little bit more and hide the vision and press tab a lot and kind of make comments on that. But it's fine for this one because there's plenty of like broader picture stuff we can talk about. But if you're wanting a coaching session yourself and you're kind of familiar with this broad stuff I'm talking about, then if I give you a coaching session, I could press the tab and go around the map and stuff and give you more detailed responses. But this is fine for this video. So thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Email me if you have any questions or want to set up a coaching session. And I'll see everyone next time. Have a great day.